Hi, it's Ray from ProShaper Workshop in Charlton, Massachusetts, and today I wanted to show you, this is a Johnson horizontal bandsaw, and as you probably know, we're doing the English wheel build, and Frank, my volunteer, has been doing that, and in the process of doing it we have another saw exactly like this, so it's a little bit different, but it's basically a Johnson. This is a 3/4 inch blade machine. Our other one's a 1 inch blade machine, and we found out that that works really good for cutting that 4 inch square tubing in the English wheel that we're making. And some of all the cuts are either 90 or 45 degree, so we had to keep changing the angle of the vise. And this saw is the size of saw you actually need in order to cut 4 inch square tubing. A smaller saw just won't do it, because when you do the angle and you're going to do the 45, you have to have a much larger saw. So a lot of times people will overlook a saw of this size, but it really expands your capability when you buy them. And this is an expensive saw when it was sold new, probably in the 60s and 70s. They've gone through a lot of them. I've gone through a real hard life out in industry out there. And of course a lot of the horizontal saws today are automatic ones, and you program them and all that, and they're really expensive. So I'm always looking on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and I bought the other saw pretty reasonable. And when I buy a tool like that, I generally don't like to just start using it. I like to go through it. So my cameraman and my computer guy, Mark, he likes restoring this stuff, so I put him on the task of restoring. He restored the other one, and this one we've actually done a little more extensive job on it. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. It's cast iron legs, a tripod system, and they don't come normally with the casters, but whoever had the saw put nice cast iron casters on it. We throw a little oil on them and they roll beautifully. The chip tray was bent up, so I'm going to have Mark make up a new chip tray. It was coated with oil and grease and 40 years worth of debris everywhere, so Mark cleaned it all up with lacquer thinner, and we've got the Rust-Oleum hammered finished on it now. The pulleys were really tight. I says, oh boy, looks like we're going to need bearings for that, but we took them apart, and they have tapered Timken bearings in them, and all they were was just starving and for new grease, and they were all dried up. So the bearings were fine after all that use. They do have bearings in the guides for the blade. Right now those are off, and those were broken. The guides themselves, they hang down and they catch the blade about right here. Both of those have been brazed, and they might need a little touch up here and there, but no big deal. My other saw has a brazed blade guide too, and it didn't affect it. So apparently when people abuse them, somehow they broke those blade guides, so don't be afraid of that. The bearings were readily available. I found a place online in Ohio when I bought the bearings for the blade guides, and it had been retrofitted with a 110 motor, so a lot of these came through with a 3-phase motor. So the motor on it is a 110 retrofit motor, and it's probably within the last 10 years or so. It's a pretty decent motor. I'm probably going to change the belt. The sheet metal pieces here are steel. They're pretty beat up, so on the other saw I had Mark make some nice aluminum, and so you get a really nice contrast, that black and aluminum. Painted the handle up nice. It's just beautifully designed saw, just typical of American quality of that type of that year. And most of these saws now are all fabricated steel. And what they did with them, it just boggles my mind, but there's grooves here. For some reason there was sliding stuff through it or something, and it wore grooves in here. It's not going to affect the performance of the saw at all, but a couple days work, and you got to get nasty and dirty to get it all cleaned up, and it's almost all done. We're waiting for those blade bearings, and probably next day or so Mark will finish up making the chip pan, the new chip pan, and these covers, and we'll be ready to put this into service. What our intent is to set this one at 90 degrees and our other one at 45. So you won't have to keep changing it. So I just thought everybody might be interested in taking a look at the real bargains that are out there on some of this older machinery that you can buy and make brand new again with a little bit of labor and not too much money. So it's Ray Chalene from ProShaper Workshop. Thank you.